Hi everyone, I hope you are well and you have started this academic year on a high note. Welcome to Economics 2A, and today I'll be going through tutorial activity based on Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 with you guys, and also provide the possible solutions to the questions. Please note that this tutorial activity has been designed in a way that it will be easier for you to understand the 2008 financial crisis and its impact and effect on the economies of different countries, including South Africa. I hope you also did this activity on your own. You tried your level best to work on it and see and test yourself and your knowledge on this particular chapter. I really hope you worked on it, and now you're just doing a reflection and trying to understand your weak points and your strong points. Alright, let's get into it. Question 1. The figures exhibit that from 2007, the signs of the economic recession over the world had started to appear. This was led by the housing price that started to decline and in a very short period yielded negative consequences worldwide. Using your own words, discuss the following. 1. 2008 financial crisis. The channels through which other countries around the world were badly affected, and indicate what was the major channel through which South Africa in particular was affected and how. The 2008 financial crisis is also known as the global financial crisis because it damaged financial institutions globally. It also left the Lehman Brothers going bankrupt and also left other banks on the verge of bankruptcy because banks did not trust one another and they could not lend to each other. You know that most banks use the monetary policy to control interest rates, right? And therefore, banks would lower the interest rates during a recession to promote investment, and they also increase interest rates during a boom to control prices. However, when interest rates reach a zero lower bound, even the monetary policy can lose the ability to stimulate growth. What is the zero lower bound? The zero lower bound refers to the belief that interest rates cannot be lowered beyond zero. So, because of the whole 2008 recession that resulted in lower investor confidence in the economy, the monetary policy lost its ability to stimulate growth, and as a result of that, banks had to implement unconventional monetary policies such as the liquidity programs. I prepared a summary for you guys and I'm going to read it through. Please compare the summary with your answers that you have and see if there is a difference or if you got it wrong. And if you did get it wrong, it's okay, we learn, and you can always use the summary to study and revise for your exams and tests. 2008 financial crisis. Once house prices began declining, many people had taken large home loans and were unable to make home loan payments. When the house prices declined, the value of the loan often exceeded the actual value of the homes. This gave the borrowers incentive to default on their payments. The banks that issued home loans packaged these loans into securities and sold them to other banks, and other banks repeated this action, which made it difficult to assess the value of the loans. Banks no longer trusted the quality of assets on the other bank's balance sheet. This resulted in banks no longer lending each other, and this led to banks becoming bankrupt. I have already said before that the financial crisis left banks on the verge of bankruptcy because banks could not trust one another and they could not lend to each other anymore. Okay, number 2, the channels through which other countries around the world were badly affected. Other countries were affected through 2 channels, namely the trade channel and the financial channel. Consumers and firms in the USA cut back on spending. The decrease in spending led to a decrease in imports and exports, and the US output decreased and led to a decrease in output of other countries. This explains the trade channel. Banks in the USA needed funds in the USA and cut back funds to other countries, which created liquidity problems for other banks in other countries. Number 3. Indicate what was the major channel through which South Africa in particular was affected and how. South Africa was mostly impacted through the trade channel, with the cutback in exports and imports in the US. After the crisis, South Africa had a negative output growth, which has become positive with the low output growth since 2010. The lack of output growth spilled over into a high unemployment rate after the crisis. As we all know, it has been an issue for so many years that South Africa's unemployment rate is high. Even yesterday on the news, I saw that unemployment rate it's trending on social media, on the news, it's everywhere. It's an issue because the South African youth is skilled and it is actively looking for jobs, but they cannot find employment. And now this will also lead to other socioeconomic issues like poverty, because if you cannot look after yourself, if you cannot take care of your siblings and your family, you guys will end up starving. And that's something that the government has to work hard on, and together as a country we need to find ways in which we can tackle unemployment and to make our economy even better. Moving on to question 2. Imagine an economist that is hardly interested in analyzing the state of health of the country. Indicate, discuss the major variables that he or she must look at and how they are related. Economists look at output growth, the unemployment rate, and the inflation rate. Before I even go further, it's important to understand what's output growth, what's unemployment rate, and what's inflation. Output growth is the rate of change of output, and unemployment rate is the proportion of workers in the economy who are not employed and who are looking for a job. And inflation rate is the rate at which average price level in the economy is increasing over time. What's inflation? Inflation is the general increase in price levels of goods and services that result in a decrease in the purchasing power of money. So an economist needs to look at output growth, unemployment rate, and inflation rate when looking at the state of health of the country. When there is high output growth, firms will expand, which comes with a demand for labor, and the firms employ more people, which decreases the employment rate. That's true. When more people have jobs, people are earning salaries, which increases the purchasing power, resulting in an increase in spending in the economy, leading to a higher demand of goods and services, which leads to prices increasing. A sustained increase in price is called inflation. As I have already said, I did explain that inflation, it is the general increase in price levels of goods and services, which results in a decrease in purchasing power of money.